Alright guys, so as you can tell, I am in a completely different room setting with a change of clothes. After I had filmed the initial part of this video, I started realizing like, oh wait, I didn't share any of the books that helped me. So rather than just scrapping that video, I figured, you know what, might as well go ahead and add on to it. So that's what we're doing. I'm definitely human enough to say like, yeah, you know, I kind of forgot this morning, but I'm gonna add on to it. So some of the books that really helped me a lot during the healing process, and I pretty much brought all of them out. The first books that really helped me was Planetary Herbology. This goes into the difference between Western herbalism versus like traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine, which are more ancient systems that have actual structures into it, as to where Western herbalism is very kind of like free-flowing. Just because I have been always interested in working with herbal medicines, this was really beneficial. It's also a book that I love to like come back to and just read over it. So this is by Michael Tierra. It's a really good book. So if you are looking into herbal medicine, I would definitely recommend this, especially if you're wanting to know which system you're wanting to work with. The next book that I have is Return of the Bird Tribe by Ken Carey, not a person of color, but I found this book at Half Price Books and it literally just called to me. And the more I was reading about it, the more it goes into, and it talks about a lot of different, I would say it tends to go more into the traditions of indigenous nations in Turtle Island, which is now known as North America, and how the bird tribe was really what helped spirituality when it came into creation and human experience. It's a really good book. Definitely, I loved reading it, and it's a book that I always will come back to. And then of course we got Carlos Castaneda, which is The Teachings of Don Juan, A Yaqui Way of Knowledge. I haven't read any of his other books, but this one was at my job. This was a really good book to kind of help me with understanding when I first started in my spiritual journey, especially on my magical journey, because I was collecting a lot of feathers and I was collecting a lot of rocks. And so it definitely kind of helped me with understanding not how to let my ego take control and how to use them side by side. So Carlos Castaneda, The Teachings of Don Juan, A Yaqui Way. And then the next books I got from when I started my cohort, my Ancestral Remembrance BIPOC Herbalism cohort with La Mala Hierba. And so these were the books that we had to get. And so this is The Gift of Healing Herbs. This is not written by a person of color, but it is very helpful. It breaks down all the systems within the bodies and what herbs are beneficial to those systems. It also will go into how to make them. There's a lot of recipes in here. So again, if you're wanting to learn herbal medicine, and let's say that you can't afford to go to a school that teaches that, I would definitely recommend getting this book. I think it was like $30, but there's honestly so much knowledge in here that it's worth it. And I love that it breaks down the different systems within the body. So I really like this one. Definitely recommend it. And then the next one, I think I talk about this all the time, especially to my clients. This is Opening to Spirit, but this book goes into spirituality and how it began in Africa. It really is just a very powerful book to kind of show you guys, you know, like how it'll show like the circle of life, and it has these diagrams in it. So, you know, and it's all about it. So in this book, what I really like is that not only does it give you like altar work, meditations, yoga poses you can try, but it breaks down into the chakra systems. So it'll start off as like an introduction into auras and energies, and then it'll start going into the different layers within the auroric field that you have, and then it starts going into the root chakra all the way up to the crown chakra. And so as you can kind of tell, I've used this book a lot, so it's definitely has seen some brighter days, but you know, so here's the depiction for the heart chakra. This one is for the solar plexus, and then we got the throat and Svadhisthana, which is the sacral chakra, in here as well. It's a really great book if you're wanting to understand chakra work a little bit more. Also just, about deities, elements, rituals you can do. I would definitely recommend getting this book. Again, Opening to Spirit. Very, very great book. So in this book, Woman Who Glows in the Dark, that's written by Elena Avila, she was a psychiatric nurse who also was a curandera. And so she brought together the spiritual health and physical health from Aztec traditions in curandismo on top of the Western medicinal system. It's a really, really great book. To be honest, the way this book came into my life was very crazy. And I'm very grateful that it did come into my life. It was like once I started reading it, I couldn't put it down until I finished it. And when I did, I was like, I want to read it again. But the next books that I want to talk about I'm currently reading these right now. So these are books about curandismo. This one's about soul retrieval and curandismo, and this one's about cleansing rites. And these are written by Erika Buenaflor, who is another curandera, and these go into all Mesoamerican curandismo teachings, so not just Mayan, but also Azteca, and a little bit of indigenous teachings as well, because she is a shaman and a curandera. And I really love how these books, they provide so much history, so much knowledge. So I really love how it's just kind of like a parallel of modern day perspectives versus ancient perspectives, and how you can work with those together. And then in soul retrieval, this goes into the process of soul retrieval, how you could practice small business soul retrieval on your own. And hey, leave him alone. And if soul retrieval is something that you might need to participate in. Again, I'm currently reading these, and I did just buy her new book, which is The Sacred Sun and Moon Energy, so I'm really excited to get that and read that one. And then I also just bought this book, but I've been having my eye on this book for a while, and I figured might as well buy it for me. So I haven't read it yet. I've only taken a couple glances at it, but this is Animal Speak by Ted Andrews. And this book is really powerful because it talks about animal essences. For those that don't know, I really don't like using the term spirit animal or animal totems, just because in indigenous traditions, you have to go through a ritual where you're fasting and you're going on a quest to where your spirit animals and animal totems come to you through fasting. And because I have not gone through that yet, I really like to use the term animal essences, because I am still working with the spirits of animals. But I do think that the term spirit animal gets used very loosely, and it is a very sacred and ancient practice in indigenous traditions. So just out of respect for our indigenous relatives, I won't appropriate it. If you are wanting to just kind of understand a little bit more about animals as messengers, this is a really good book because it goes into different practices that you can do. This also goes into different meditations, and it breaks down the different animals and what their messages are. I tend to have a lot of animal essences that I work with, and I know most of them, but I'm always that kind of person towards if I can know as much as I can, I'm going to know as much as I can. So yeah, these are, if I'm putting everything, so these are all the books that I like to use, or that I read. Sorry, these are Post-its, but these are all the books that I have read and I'm currently reading or planning to read that helped me a lot when I first started out in my healing journey and in my spiritual journey, just because again, I was at a place where I wasn't really able to afford going to school, afford taking all these classes, so I figured I might as well turn to books, and books hold a lot of knowledge. Please do your research on books and just kind of go to like half-price books or thrift stores and see what books call out to you. You never know what you might find. So yeah. I will have a link to where you can buy these books in the description box below, but I wanted to add that in for this video for you guys, because I was like, oh, I forgot to do that. So also, some really good practices that really helped me before I could afford therapy was, of course, meditating. You don't need to meditate for like 20 minutes to an hour. Literally, you can start off with like 2-minute meditations, 5-minute meditations. You can even do walking meditations if sitting down is not within your limits. Journaling really helped a lot, and instead of putting pressure on myself to continuously journal every day, I would just journal whenever I was called to, and I would have specific journals, but they all just end up turning into like my moon cycle journal, my dream journals, my journals for shadow work, and like my ritual journals. So just the process and the act of journaling was really helpful as well. Spending a lot of time out in nature was very helpful as well in my healing journey, because whenever I felt that I was holding in a lot and I was needing to release, I would just go outside and I would release out into the earth, knowing that at least Mother Earth can take that at least Mother Earth is able to take whatever it is that I'm carrying and turn it back into new life by offering it love and replenishing my energy. This was also a really good way that I was able to connect to the lands around me and really start understanding, you know, who lives in the lands that I'm on? Who did these lands originally belong to? And these were teachings that I picked up in the cohort that I did with La Mala Hierba. There was also, you know, just teachings that I found through YouTube, and really finding people that felt in alignment with me. I really didn't like following people on Instagram or on YouTube or on Facebook where, you know, they were always trying to push positivity in my face, because we do live in a world where we go through some really harsh and heaviness, and sometimes I'm not able to be positive, and I didn't want to like feel as if I always needed to fake put on a smile or fakely tell myself like everything's gonna be okay, even though I was feeling these really heavy emotions. So I would start following people that were, you know, allowing me to be like, yes, you are able to feel your anger, and your anger is sacred. What is your anger telling you right now? How does it look like? What does it feel like? Where do you feel it in your body? I was really wanting to sit with those lower vibrational energies that we carry rather than bypass them and just force myself to think of love and light. Because again, without darkness, there isn't light. Without light, there isn't darkness. So they go hand in hand together. Another thing that really did help me was finding people that I was in alignment with as well, and that had similar interests and very like-minded. Having plants around the house is very helpful. Just kind of digging my hands in dirt, I noticed like helped a lot with my anxiety and my PTSD. Being creative. There was a point in time where I was sewing a lot, and I was just allowing my creativity to flow through with the process of actually like creating something from another piece of garment. So if you look on my personal Instagram, you'll probably see a couple of posts where I was just posting pictures of outfits that I made. So that was really beneficial to me as well. Again, these are my personal experiences, but I always like to tell people to where I'm like, if you have a creative side, let your creative side run free. Like, you know, tie-dyed this shirt as a way for me to, one, get rid of the smoothie stains that I had on it because I wore this to work, but also just to have like a nice fun top for the summer, you know, to kind of show you it's like, has like a little van in the back. It's a little trippy, but yeah. So okay, now I think I really am done. Bye guys.